All right. Little meta moment as you saw my video rendering. So that was the last video. So yeah, we're doing well. We're moving and everything. Would be really nice though if our character could jump now. And then yeah, we've got hitboxes left and basically doing damage, but we're nearing the end. So bunch is moving. I mean, this is really starting to feel like Street Fighter. This is awesome. All right. So yeah, let's drag in another action, and in this one, we're going to do the jumping. Jumping. All right. So, the jumping, and I think this might actually all be stuff that you've already seen so far. So, I'm gonna copy some stuff over, because it's too straightforward for me to start typing. So, no jumping during special moves or attacks. So when these are not active, we get into jumping. We're not gonna do double jumping. You can only jump when you're not already jumping. And here we are not gonna use last key. We're gonna use if keyboard check pressed. Reason for it being is we want it to be really snappy. And the thing is, the way our script is set up right now is that we can't detect two button presses at the same time. So say you're walking and you're keeping down your L button at this point, you're walking to the right. If you then, with your, say you've got your L on your middle finger, you're keeping that one down on the button, and then you just tap the jump button because you want to jump while you're moving forward, it will now register the jump button because it's still registering this thing. So, since we're not recording two buttons at the same time, we could do that with arrays or with other data structures, but not with strings. And I don't think it's worth it for this. There's an advanced goal, which is going to be a little bit more difficult if you're not a good programmer, but, people with programming experience, it's not hard. If you've worked with arrays before. If you haven't, nah. Anyway, we are going to use keyboard check pressed here. That's basically what it comes down to. Simply because this would allow us to just detect that button always and be sure about it. And we're going to add motion again. 90 means that we are going upwards, actually. So yeah, it's 0 and 90. I said it wrong in the previous video. It's 0 and 90, 180, 270. Okay, so 270 is down, 90 is up. And we're going to need to have a jump sprite for that. So let's me magically conquer that one up. Alright, so I made my magically conjured sprite. If I've given you guys these sprites, you can use them, else you'll just have to get them from the main script. I put the origin at 24105. Alright, so that's the sprite index. And obviously your mouse might vary. If you have to take it out of the script, 24105 is likely not going to work well for you, so you might have to tweak that number. Image index at 0, we set our jumping flag at 1. Alright. Now, let's just shut this thing down entirely. So, if we're not jumping, yeah, let's see if this works. We should be able to do one jump with this thing, but this is not going to work well. And if you're smart about it, I'm sure you can figure it out. So I'm going to press jump. Whoa, Lord! And he's gone. So, alright, yeah, we have to bring him back down to earth. So we'll have to program a little bit of gravity in here. So, alright, that means that we're going to make another common variable, I guess, gravity. And we're going to set two values for that. The first one is going to be the g-force, because we cannot use the term gravity itself, and I think we're going to put that at 0.5. And then we need to know where our ground is so we can bring him back to where it needs to be. And actually that's just going to be our y value, because when the character gets created, whatever its y value is at that point, that's where the ground is for us. So g-force and ground is what we're going to be using. And g-force is basically going to work similar to friction. So when it's going up, we're going to use g-force to bring him back down. So else, if we are jumping, all this happens. Else we're basically in the air. So we're going to set a quick y clause because we might have jump triggered before we actually have liftoff. So if y is greater or equal to ground, we're going to go with oh yeah, sorry. So this is actually us resetting our jump script. I'm a little bit confused here for a sec. So let me do it the other way around, because people who know programming will follow this easily, but others might struggle. So what we're going to do is, if we're jumping, we're going to set another motion with the g-force value at 270, so that's down. So once we're in the air, a force is going to hit us downwards at 0.5 pixels per frame. So let's jump. Okay, so that's what happened. He falls off the ground. So we have to do something to avoid that. So how do you do that? Well, so if our y is greater to or equal than the ground, and that was what I was writing earlier, greater than, if you remember, the x and y are 0 in the upper left corner. So y, the lower you are on screen, the higher your y is. So when we are higher than our ground value, that means that we're actually lower than where we should be. So we should never be there. If this happens, our y should be ground. We should snap there and never go beyond it. Furthermore, our vertical speed should be 0. And when that happens, we're basically landed. So jumping, no longer 1, it becomes 0 again. All right? Else, if that's not going on, we can do that motion thing, because we're still hanging up in the air. All right? So that's basically a little script to bring jumpers down. So let's see if that actually works, because, you know, never trust the professor. Well, you can trust me. I'm cool. Oh, you couldn't see me on the webcam there. All right. It doesn't really matter. I think it's more important that you see what's going on the screen. So, yeah. I'm walking around, and I'm jumping up and down, and look, he snaps back into place just like we programmed it. So, cool beans. Finally, that animation was pretty crummy, I'm sure you've noticed. How do we deal with that? Well, it's a little bit of typing, but it's a very straightforward principle again. So, when we're jumping, we're going to see what the distance is. So we're going to take the absolute value of ground minus y, and I don't think absolute value is actually necessary here, but hey, whatever. If that's 0, our image index is really 0. And I can show you what the jump animation looks like, because this all makes a lot of sense to me, but might not to you if you haven't seen this closely yet. Wow, GameMaker's getting slow again. So at 0, this is what he looks like. So this is when he's on the ground. When he's kind of a little bit off the ground, his legs are extended. They will, you know, he will pull up his knees a little bit. When he's further off the ground, and at the top of his arc, he will just pull up his knees entirely. So you want this image when he's between 0 and 25 pixels from the ground, this between 25 and 50, and this over 50. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're seeing how far is the character off the ground, and then we adjust the image index. So pause your video if you want to copy that code. And we're running. Let's see if it does what we want it to do. Alright, jump. And look at how awesome that animation looks. It also works when you were jumping forward. Now in the real Street Fighter, he would actually do this somersault kind of thing when he's jumping forward, so you could program that in as well if you like. You've got the sprites. Might even make that an advanced goal. Alright, so we're jumping. We don't have to worry about the idle thing, in case you're wondering, because we've got that down here. So let's put it down there. So if he's not jumping, put it into idle. So yeah, we've got our entire jump animation ready and rolling, really. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff. So I think we're ready to put a second player in now. So yeah, and then we can get those hitboxes going. All right, see you in the next video.